another factory in the town called Rose Brothers and Co. They produce packaging machinery. And, that machinery, it started in Gainsborough. William Rose invented it. So anything, like around the world, tobacco or sweet wrappers, anything that was wrapped basically would have been, invented in Gainsborough.
You're listening to Come Here, the podcast for and about heritage attractions, where you can discover somewhere worth visiting. I'm your host, Dr. Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist with a background in archaeology, specialising in voiceover for the heritage sector. Each week, I chat to someone from a different museum, historic site, gallery or cultural space about why you should visit, and exactly what you can expect when you get there. Gemma Clark is a volunteer at the Gainsborough Heritage Centre. The site recently became an accredited museum through the Arts Council England, and there's lots there to discover. Thank you for joining me on the podcast today, Gemma.
Thank you so much for inviting me to join you today. Thank you.
So can you introduce yourself and tell me what your role is?
Yeah, so I'm Gemma and volunteer at the Gainsborough Heritage Centre. I also volunteer as publicity officer, so helping to share the social media for different events and also promoting the town's heritage. But yeah, it's the Heritage Centre. It's officially it's called the Gainsborough District Heritage Association. It's a registered charity founded in 1994. So it's entirely run by volunteers. They're a really dedicated team of sort of people.
And how long have you worked there?
So I've been volunteering there probably for, I'd say, over 12 years, might be longer now. Can't remember, can't keep track. But yeah, it's been a long time. It started for sort of like work experience when I was at school. And yeah, I've carried on. I've done all sorts of different things. One of my biggest projects was recording people's memories. And I've recorded so many people about their memories of the town, living in the town, working in the factories like Marshalls and Roses. So there's so much information there now in our archive for people to sort of listen to that would have been lost if I'd not sort of recorded it. So that's one of my proudest sort of achievements, really, I suppose.
Yeah, it sounds like you're really passionate about it. So when you're volunteering, is there a sort of typical day? What do you get involved with? I mean, you've told us about the recording. What else do you do?
Well, for me, it's more sort of involved in sort of promoting the sort of the centre and the social media. But in terms of the volunteers themselves, they actually open up sort of the historic telephone exchange, General Post Office building. They open it up. They serve people in the tea room and welcome people on the front desk. I have been involved in that sort of thing over the years, but there's so many other volunteers that do a fantastic job welcoming people and helping people with research in the archives as well.
So can you describe the site for me? You have quite a historic building, don't you?
Oh gosh, yeah, it's so historic. It was built as a general post office back in 1905 was when it was opened, and the general post office, it has 3 floors. It's a bit like a time capsule as well across, 3 floors. It's just incredible. So yeah, on the ground floor you enter an industrial sort of exhibition space, and it's like you actually get to stand next to like piece of machinery that apprentices built, like apprentice models. It's incredible. Then you move on to the sort of the next floor, and it's a 20th century street scene where you can actually see a recreation of a sort of post office, but with telephone exchange equipment that you can see as well. There's also a 1940s house. And then moving on to the sort of the top floor, we've got the amazing archives and also a research library. There's fantastic collections of like newspaper articles. People can find things from, they can find themselves in the newspapers, but also they can find, people their ancestors, records from over 100 years ago. There's all sorts of things that they can find in there. So yeah, it's a absolutely lovely building, and people are so surprised, I think, when they walk in. They don't realize how much there is to offer. They see
Mm.
this building and they just don't realize, oh, it's got 3 floors. They don't realize that at all. So yeah, it's a bit of a surprise for people.
Yeah. So what would you say makes your site unique compared to other small museums, perhaps?
um I suppose that everything has a connection to the people in the town, the history of the people, and everything in the museum actually is donated by and has stories relating to the people in the town. So one lovely example is a treadle sewing machine
Mm.
that was actually, it's, yeah, you might just think it's just a treadle sewing machine, but actually it was owned by um, the lady who was married to the night sort of watchman or supervisor
Mm.
that lived in the telephone exchange. So it was actually in that very building, and then it's come back to the building and now in our sort of displays. So it's
Oh,
a lovely story.
yeah.
Um,
And are you still accepting artifacts for people? Do people in the town bring things to you?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, we do, for example, with some items, we only have a certain amount of space. So
Mm.
we do have to sometimes really think about, does this item have a connection with Gainsborough? Or, could these items be used for other things like fundraising or everything comes on a sort of merit basis, and but we do still have some fantastic donations that are coming in from people as people are sort of clearing, and finding things, and photographs. We still have loads of photographs donated to us. It's absolutely amazing the stuff that we find that are brought into us.
Yeah. And for anyone that doesn't know anything about Gainsborough, what was the industry of Gainsborough? You're very close to Marshall's Yard. What was Marshall's Yard? What was made there?
Oh, Marshall's was an engineering sort of company, and they made all sorts of, like tractors, traction engines across. It opened in 1848, so it started with, like certain. It was an agricultural machinery that they were, producing, and then over the years they were developing and producing more and more sort of advanced models of tractors, and it went into war production at different points. It built midget submarines. There's so many different things that it worked on at different points in its sort of history and development. But Marshall's Yard was where that factory was located. In our industrial exhibition space, you can see sort of models of the industrial buildings, where things were in relation to where they are now. And we've got so much to kind of see and learn about from that. But a lot of people don't realize that um we weren't just famous like locally. It was we were on a global scale, all the stuff, and not just for Marshalls, but for another factory in the town called Rose Brothers and Co.
Mm.
They made produced packaging machinery, and that machinery, it started in Gainsborough. William Rose invented it. So anything, like around the world, tobacco or sweet wrappers, anything that was wrapped basically
Mhm.
would have been, invented in Gainsborough. So, it's fantastic, really, the industrial heritage we've got
Yeah.
in the town. So
What would you say are the highlights of your museum?
I would say there's so many highlights. There's something for everyone. The highlights would probably be maybe the 20th century street is, a lovely one. It really, the nostalgia.
Mhm.
People, it really takes people by surprise. I think they're not expecting it. They see the industrial exhibition floor at the bottom, and then they head up to the street scene, and it's just so unexpected, and it really brings back memories for people as well, like even for children, it's like they're learning about like the tin bath and
Mhm.
the outside toilet, and there's so many things that there to learn about. So I think that's a lovely highlight, really, within our building.
Yeah. Have you got a personal favourite object or part of the building?
Well, my personal favorite object goes back to Marshalls, actually. So I'm really interested in the Marshalls factory. I have a personal connection. My own granddad worked there, and
Mm.
he worked there as an apprentice. He was in the machine shop, and then he actually worked his way up and became works director at one point. So he was really, a really big part of the factory. So yeah, my favourite part of the museum is the Marshalls section. The there's some lovely, there's actually a model of there was quite a few apprentice projects. So when the apprentices were learning how to, you know, produce tractors or how to do different things in the machine shop, they were allowed to create apprentice projects. So we have actually one that was brought over from Australia, because it ended up going over there, and it was an apprentice model of a field marshal tractor, and
Hmm.
we've now got it on display in our museum, which is fantastic. So I love lots of lovely stories of sort of items being brought back and now on display back in Gainsborough.
Yeah. You said that people are often surprised by how much you've managed to pack into your museum, particularly the street scene. Are there other things that people often miss? Because you have got a lot of things in there. Are there some hidden gems that people should be looking out for?
Oh, I think the research library is something that always really surprises people. Um, but another sort of like hidden gem actually is, we have a war memorial in our temporary exhibition space, and it is actually really important for the town because it's the only place in Gainsborough that actually lists all of the names of anyone that
Mm.
was killed or lost during the First World War. So it's like a really important sort of memorial to those people, sort of in the town. So that's something that sometimes may get missed, and
Hmm.
it is an amazing thing to have in the centre.
Yeah. How long would you say people need to allow for a visit?
Well, this depends. So um, we'd say to have a look around our exhibitions would be about maybe 2 hours, something like that, to have a good look around. And then as well, if you want to, stop at the end in the tea room and have a slice of cake, and a cup of tea. But yeah, some if you do find that, when we get the, people that are visiting that really would like to get involved in the research and all of the sort of things that we've got in our archives and our library, it's going to take a bit longer. they
Hmm.
they they basically, they come in and think, oh, I'm just looking for something, and then they realize, oh my gosh, we need a lot more time than this. So we say about like a day, or um even, it's always worth, we always say to everyone, our membership offer is really good. It's annual membership of £15, and you get free access to the museum every day we're open, on a Tuesday and a Saturday. And it's really good because it means you can come back anytime you like, and it means that money is going, because we are, as I mentioned at the beginning, entirely run by volunteers, and we don't get any sort of funding, and it is, the Heritage Centre is made from the dedication of people and the the fundraising, every penny that comes, through the door. So yeah, membership is a good way of making sure you get the most out of your visits, really, I
Yeah.
would say, for people
Yeah.
that really want to research and find out more about their family heritage.
Yeah. So how much does it normally cost to come in if you just come in, as a one-off visitor?
So it costs £3 per person, to come in, and children do go free, as well. So
And while we're mentioning children, are there exhibits that are suited for children? Are there sort of interactive things for them to get involved with?
Yeah, definitely. We've got some really lovely children's trails, and activities so children can go and explore the Heritage Centre, trying to find displays. We also have some lovely QR codes, which are really it helps to make the displays really interactive. Again, it's from the project that I did many years ago. Some of the memories of people working and living in the town. It really helps to be more interactive
Mm.
for our visitors.
Yeah. Do you have special exhibitions that change throughout the year?
We do. So we do actually have a temporary exhibition space, and in the exhibition space there are like a number of exhibitions. We sometimes have we have many paintings from Co.and, who's a famous local artist, and we sometimes display those in that room. We currently have a couple of exhibitions on. One of them is looking at the history of banking in Gainsborough.
Mm.
So it's got the stories of the different Gainsborough banks, and one of them, it was like a building society, which was actually started by marshals, and it was relating to when they were sort of building houses for the workers and getting like mortgages for them and stuff. So there's quite a lot around that. You can see original banknotes and stuff, which is quite exciting. And then there's another one at the moment. The exhibitions team have looked at like sort of some of the memories of the sort of the old hall relating to like people living in there, which was later on in its sort of lifetime. So yeah, there's quite a few different sort of stories. It's we have it's as I mentioned before, there's all over the years there's been so many different pieces of memorabilia that have kind of been donated to the Heritage Centre. So they in our top floor we have sort of boxes of all sorts of lovely, exciting items, and it's lovely to get them out on display and sort of change them around so people can see what we have in our sort of archives, but also the exhibitions team, they actually change our sort of permanent exhibitions around as well. So they'll bring out sort of items of, they've recently on the industrial exhibition floor, they've added a lovely sort of desk with drawers in it, so you can pull the drawers out, and there's lots of objects relating to sort of marshals that have never been sort of out of the archives and stuff. So it's lovely. We're really always adding to sort of the exhibitions and displays, which is really exciting to see.
Yeah. Do you have other sorts of events as well?
We do. So we run lots of heritage talks, and it's really exciting. We have speakers that come along and talk for us to help with our fundraising. So we go to a place called the Club on the Park, which is at the Northam football ground. And all the talks cost £5 and are cash only. So we're really excited. Our next history talk coming up in September is from someone called Rick Berry. So he's a really dedicated Gainsborough Hall volunteer, and he's got a really sort of an interest in all the sort of graffiti and the markings around the old hall. So he's going to come talk to us about that, and that's going to take place on Thursday, the 24th of September. So that's really exciting. That starts at 7:30 p.m. And then I'll just mention we're really over the last sort of few years, it's been really lovely and exciting. We've been working with a fantastic project called The Future of the Past, and we work with lots of young people, and we have this has helped us to have lots of young volunteers
Mm.
joining the Heritage Centre, which has been so lovely. And currently, the volunteers are working on delivering sort of they're working on like an audio sort of an interactive audio trail, which is sort of developed by the group, and it's going to be delivered at the WordFest event, which is going to be taking place in September in Gainsborough. So we're really excited about what they've got in store for us in September. So that's going to be exciting.
That sounds fantastic. And actually, I came to a ghost trail that the young people had put together a couple of months ago when it was dark, and they were brilliant. And they'd written it all themselves and acted it out themselves, and really good. So I'll have to come back for the audio trail as well, definitely.
Brilliant.
So let's come back to the museum again now. How accessible is your site for people who've got mobility issues?
It is really, really accessible. So when you sort of enter the building from North Street, we have two glass doors as you enter the building, and if they are closed for any reason, there is a buzzer outside, so they can literally press the buzzer, and a member of the team will just come along to make sure it's all open and everything. When you want to sort of enter the ground floor exhibition space, we also have a ramp so people can get into that space as well. And we then, to get through to sort of all the other exhibition floors, there is a lift to access all those floors, so that people can make their way around the building. All the volunteers have been trained in evac chair, for any emergency use or anything like that. So the volunteers are really dedicated to accessible sort of needs and supporting our visitors. We also have, on the ground floor, we've got our tea room that can be changed and made accessible, with a accessible toilet as well on the ground floor. So we are really dedicated. In addition to that, if any visitors come along, we have you're allowed to have sort of guide dogs, assistance dogs that coming into the museum as well.
And is it just assistance dogs, or can general public bring their dogs in too?
So it is just to look after our collections and all our displays. It's for assistance dogs to come along.
So tell me what goes on behind the scenes that perhaps visitors don't see.
Behind the scenes, it will be sort of the work of our sort of incredible sort of archives team working away on the top floor. We have archives working on cataloguing and looking after our collection. We've got our exhibitions team. I mentioned earlier, they work really closely with the archives team. So looking for objects that may not have been on display either for some years, or they might never have, there might never have been space at that particular point to sort of have them out on display. So they're always working really hard to make sure the centre is looking its best.
Mhm. What would you say has been your most memorable moment since working there?
Oh wow. Most memorable moments. I think for me, maybe being involved in the publicity part of it, when back in 2016, I it was the sort of grand reopening. So we just to explain a little bit what that was, when we first got the Heritage Centre, the building needed a lot of restoration works, and the ground floor was open for quite a long time. But the volunteers had to do a large amount of fundraising, to actually have a lift put into the building. That wasn't something that was in there before.
Mm.
So that was a lot of fundraising and work to have that done. And then the other two floors were finally sort of restored and developed. And that ended in 2016. The whole building was then opened as a building with 3 floors. And that was a massive achievement. And in my role, I got sort of BBC Radio Lincolnshire involved, and we actually did a 3 hour sort of live show in the
Mm.
building. And that was sort of, for me, it was a massive moment of sort of contributing to that sort of big opening of the Heritage Centre. So it is actually lovely to be doing this today, because it is 10 years this year since the opening of the Heritage Centre. So it is people may think it's been there for a long time, but yeah, it's only been there for 10 years on 3 floors. And also, it's thanks to these amazing people, these dedicated volunteers, the hours that they put in to making it all happen. You would not believe, honestly, they are absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So are there any exciting projects or developments coming up?
So I think the projects that we're working on is around sort of digitalizing a lot of the archives and um, collections that we have. So we have a large amount of like photographs, and we have a large amount of like martial drawings. So that can be drawings of sort of parts that would have been used in a tractor, or um, a sort of piece of machinery, or it could be an actual full size drawing of a traction engine or something. There's absolutely thousands of drawings and sort of photographs. So our big projects are working on digitalizing all of these, making all of this more accessible
Mm.
to more audiences. And globally, we do actually get people living in Australia or America, like doing family history
Yeah.
and contacting us. So we have lots of inquiries as well from people who are restoring traction engines and tractors and wanting these drawings to know what kind of parts would be needed to restore them. So this is a way of not just making our archives more accessible, but also fundraising to help the running of the building as well. So yeah, it's a big project that we're working on at the moment.
So finally then, Gemma, what is it that you love most about the place?
Okay, I suppose I love the fact that it's really unique. It's probably like sort of the best hidden sort of gem in Lincolnshire, because not many people are aware of it. It's really special, really unique. It's for me, it's my family heritage as well. I mentioned my granddad earlier on. He was like, he really helped to actually um, with the beginning of the Heritage Centre as well when it first started back in 1994. So I always feel like I'm carrying on sort of his work, which is really lovely. So yeah, that's kind of for me. It's brilliant, and more people should know about it.
Well, hopefully they will, thanks to this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us to be involved.
Thank you very much for being my guest, Gemma. Thanks for listening to Come Here. If you know a heritage attraction that would love to be featured, or you have a suggestion for somewhere you'd like me to cover, I'd love to hear from you. To find my email address and find out more about me, pop to my website at lizdrury.com. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe, rate and review the show. It really helps other people to find it. See you next time, and come and discover somewhere else worth visiting.